That's wild, Troy. I can link your Twitter, but you have to. All right, bet. Here comes Czarina. Everybody, I'm happy to introduce to y'all Czarina Mccoy from right here in the United States, based out of Las Vegas, super flyweight prospect with a record of 5 wins, no losses, 2 knockouts. Czarina, how are you?
Hi, it's 6 wins now. I just fought 2 weeks ago, so 6 wins now. But hi, how are you?
How you doing? BoxRec, I guess BoxRec, the people at BoxRec are asleep at the wheel because I just took a trip over there and it said 5, but it's true because I talked about your fight.
Yeah, they haven't put it up yet. They haven't posted it yet. Usually when I fight, they take about 2 weeks to put it up there, so.
Okay, so to get started, just to acquaint everyone with you, how is it that you got on this road to becoming a professional boxer? Where did it all start for you?
Well, for me, it started here where I live in Vegas. I walked into the wrong gym one day. I was looking for gymnastics, and I ended up boxing. Then I decided that I wanted to go to the Olympics, so I started competing in USA boxing events. I won 5 national championships. I was on Team USA for 2 or 3 years. And then I decided when I turned 18 that it would be a better decision for me to turn pro. So I turned pro when I turned 18. I had my first fight in July of 2019, and I've just been fighting ever since.
So now that you're a pro, what distinguishes the amateurs from the pros, for those that aren't familiar with the differences?
There's a few differences. So if you're doing like tournaments, USA boxing, amateurs, there's a lot of differences. So basically the weigh-ins and the making weight, in the pros, you just have to weigh in one time the day before, you make weight, and then you can literally eat, do whatever. When it's tournaments, they're usually a week long, and you have to make general weigh-ins, which is before the fights even start, and then you have to weigh in every single day that you're going to fight and make weight, like on the dot. If you're literally a 0.1 over, you're disqualified.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very strict in the amateurs. And it's also different with just fighting because women in the pros, we fight 2-minute rounds, and in the amateurs, you fight 3-minute rounds. Well, I think some of them fight, if it's like the finals in elite or masters or something like that, it's four rounds, 2 minutes. But pretty much everybody else under that fights 3 rounds, 3 minutes.
That in association with that, which is like a big topic in the sport of women's boxing, how do you feel about this 3-minute round? Do you think that in professional boxing for women, the 3-minute round is the way to go, or do you think it's a pay scale issue to where before we even start talking about the 3-minute round, we need to start talking about the pay scale?
Well, I feel like nobody has equal pay scale. You know, like even in the men, like not everybody's gonna make Floyd money, not everybody's gonna make Canelo money, not everybody's gonna make Pacquiao money. So everybody makes a different amount no matter what your gender is. Of course, like pay scales can be better. I'm not saying that, I'm satisfied with how they are now. Like they could be better, but you have to understand that, where you put yourself or how far you get is going to determine how much money you make. Because the more successful boxer, as a man, he makes more money than a less successful boxer. So it's going to be the same for women. A more successful woman is going to make more money than a less successful woman. And it's not because they're better. It's just because they're farther along in their career. So the farther along you take yourself, the more opportunities that you can get to get more money. And if you put yourself in front of the right people, they're going to make sure they take care of you. If you dedicate yourself to the sport, you can demand what you think you deserve. And if you back up in the ring, they have no choice but to give it to you. It's either they give it to you or they miss out on a good opportunity with you. So I just feel like it's not equal with anybody. And where you put yourself is going to determine how much you make, and how hard you work is going to determine that as well. I think that's just how it is in the sport. I think that's how it is in general, like any business that you work in. Everybody gets paid differently. The CEOs get paid differently than the janitors get paid different than the interns. It's just where you're at.
That's honestly the most concise way to put, because I share your opinion. Even though it's been sparse over the years, there have been fighters like Regina Halmich in Germany. She made money. She made good money, very good money that some guys don't make. Cecilia Brækhus, who you're familiar with, in her native Norway. She was making buku dollars over there. She was on pay-per-view. She sold 10,000 tickets to several fights. So
Yeah.
it's like when I hear the equal pay argument, I always think to myself, well, the pay isn't equal for the guys. It's not equal for anyone. It's based on your ability as an individual to generate revenue, and that's different for everyone.
Yeah, and I think it could be better for the guys and the girls. Honestly, I feel like it could be better for all boxers, but also it's just where you're at in the sport. That's just how the sport is. There's some things that can be changed about the sport, and then there's some things that just can't. And because this is like a global thing, not just a boxing thing, with pay scales not being equal for different people, it's just something that's just economy. Of course, we wish it could be better, and maybe we can do things to make it better for everybody in the future. But we all have to get on the same page with this in order to actually change it.
Okay. So now that you're a professional boxer, favorite thing about being a boxer, least favorite thing about being a boxer.
My favorite thing about being a boxer, I think, is getting to meet new people because I've met a lot of people through boxing who have impacted my life or influenced my life or even like gave me something that I took away, even if they're not in my life anymore, that I use now. My least favorite thing about boxing is probably losing weight is my least favorite thing because when I lose weight, I start to crave a burger. Like that is the first thing that I start to crave when I start losing weight is a burger. I don't know why, but every time I'm like, I just need a fat burger to eat right now. And it seems like every time I lose weight, somebody wants to post food. Everybody wants to talk about what food they're eating. I'm like, you don't do this when I'm over here eating Chick-fil-A and like whatever else I want to eat. But when I can't eat it and I gotta eat salads and stuff, you want to post all at the McDonald's, all at Burger King. Like, why are you doing this to me? So it just seems like that always. Probably my least favorite thing about being a boxer.
Maybe, I'm just guessing, but maybe it's because since you're making the weight and you're starving and you're hungry, you notice more food. Like, yo, I smell bacon somewhere around here. I smell burgers or something like that.
Yeah.
That you otherwise would not notice if you wasn't making weight.
Yeah.
So, beyond that, okay, so you're campaigning in the super flyweight division. Do you have aspirations of becoming a multi-weight champion?
I do. I am willing to go down to 108, and then obviously 112, and then 115, possibly farther in my career 118, depending on just my body, how it changes. The older you get, the more your body changes. So possibly 118 if my body allows me to go up that high, but for sure 115, 112, 108.
Okay, okay. That being said, what do you think about those divisions? The depth, because I always hear this, and I honestly I think it's a lot of BS. There's a lot of depth in those divisions. 105, 108, just all of that down there. It's a lot of girls down there. Is there anybody there that you have your eye on, or is it just open season on everybody?
For me personally, it's always open season on everybody because one thing that you learn in the amateurs is that you need to be prepared to fight anybody. That's like one thing that I took away from fighting in tournaments. You're gonna fight anybody, and you might fight multiple people, and they're all gonna be different, and you need to be prepared for anything. So me, I'm always prepared for anybody, and I want to fight the best of the best. So whoever the best of the best is, that's who I want to fight, regardless win, lose, or draw. That's who I need to get in the ring with because you're only the best if you fight the best. You're not the best because you cherry pick and you're undefeated. You're undefeated because you cherry pick. That doesn't make you the best. What makes you the best is that you get in there and you fight the best. And you come out there and like, okay, whether they're the best man tonight or I'm the best man tonight, they're the best woman tonight, I'm the best woman tonight, I'm going to get in there with this person and I'm going to fight like this is the last fight I'll ever have in my life. That determines that you're the best of the best. So I want to get in there with anybody.
Do
Anybody.
you and you feel that having the amateur background that you have and other fighters that have an amateur background as well, you feel that that gives them a competitive edge over the pros because, like you said, in the amateurs you don't get to pick. You fight who's in front of you, and you may or may not know who that is. Do you feel that gives your generation of fighters an edge?
I want to say yes, but I also want to say no because there's fighters in the amateurs who, when they go to the pros, they don't they don't make it. They can't handle the pro style. They can't handle the longevity of it. Because in the amateurs it's just fast paced, do 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 out, do, and the pros is different. It's like you're carefully calculating your steps, your movements, your punches, and they just can't handle it, you know. But then there's also amateurs who had the pro style in the amateurs who come to the pros and they thrive, you know. So I want to say that those type of fighters, they come to the pros and they thrive, and it gives them that step up because they just came out of that competition, you know. But I feel like the ones who had the amateur style and they can't change it, they're just stuck in their ways, they get stuck there. I feel like, you know, there's a point where you should realize, fighter or your team should realize, that your life and your health is more important than getting in the ring to try to make some quick cash.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think about some professional boxers that are making the decision to do it the other way around? They're making the decision they want to go compete as amateurs, where they didn't really compete as amateurs before to pursue Olympic gold. A lot of mixed feelings I've been seeing about that. Some people think it's okay. Some people think it's a little bit unethical and dubious. What do you think about it?
Well, personally, I feel like if you have a title or a belt or a very large pro record, you should not be allowed to go back to the Olympics because you're beating up people who are freshly adults, you know, 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds. Like you fought 20 bouts, 20 bouts as a pro with no headgear against grown people with grown people strength. You have all this experience and then you want to go beat up a kid in the Olympics. That doesn't make sense to me. But I feel like if you're just fresh into the pros and you just decide, well, maybe I wasn't ready to go to the pros yet, I want to go to the Olympics, then yeah, I mean, you just got out of the amateurs, you know, go for it. But if you're on pro level, experience pro level, and you want to go back down to amateurs to beat up somebody's kid, I don't think that that's a good idea. You know, I
Mm,
know one of the USA boxers fought some guy from overseas, and he had, like, I think he gave up his title or something to go to the Olympics, and they were super heavy, and he knocked him out. Like he knocked the USA boxer out. Yeah, like knocked him clean out, and it was like, you know, that dude shouldn't have been in there in the first place. He had way too much experience. He had maybe like 30 pro fights, a title. You know, I just felt like that wasn't ethical for them to even let this man compete against people who only fought someone around their own age. You know, I
mm.
just don't think that was ethical. But I feel like if you're fresh out of the amateurs and you just decided that the pros wasn't for you, then yeah, by all means, go ahead. Go to the Olympics. Go ahead and knock somebody out. You know, that's your prerogative.
Yeah, because I see like I've seen any number of the last I think it's been the last 2 3 years, something like that. And very recently I saw that okay, well Christina Hammer decided to walk away from professional boxing, and she I think she said she beat the number one amateur in her country, but in the very next fight she lost. And I've heard people say that well it's kind of apples and oranges because of what you said, that the amateurs is fast paced, it's wham bam bang, that's it. Whereas the pros, it's longer and there's no headgear and you it's a different style. So I don't like myself. I don't know how to look at it because it's like well maybe they're too different for one to carry over into the other. Like pro is different,
Yeah.
amateur is different. Maybe it's not even really a transition that carries because if you're a fighter that has a style to where you need a couple of rounds to get a sweat going and getting
Mhm.
your rhythm, well, that ain't gonna help you in the amateurs. You got to get it done quick. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to feel about it. That's why I don't think nothing of it when I see it. But I see a lot of other people. They have strong opinions about it. Like no, a good number of them have said what you said. That
Mhm.
why should a professional boxer with 20, 30 professional fights make the decision to go compete against what are kids
Yeah.
or young adults? So it's like I don't like I'm on the fence. Like I don't really know. Like I haven't seen any professional boxers win gold medals yet, or even get close, get to the point to where they could compete for one. But
Mhm.
we'll see when Tokyo rolls around who's still there and who ain't.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like it's just not a smart move. You know, turning pro is like taking a step up. You know, the amateurs and then the pros is a step up from that. Why would you go back down? I feel like that's just downgrading, like taking two steps back when you've already took steps forward. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know, I would understand someone who just turned pro maybe within the last year that they decided they just weren't ready to do that. I would understand that. But if you've been in the pros for a while, I feel like there should be a cutoff date to that. You know, like you've been in the pro a certain amount of time or you've had a certain amount of fights in the pros, there is no reason for you to take that step backwards and go fight somebody in the amateurs. Like
Mm,
absolutely
that
zero.
makes sense. That does make sense. Moving on from that, okay. Now, when it comes to your career, and how would you describe yourself? Like, whose style would you liken to your own?
Honestly, I don't really have a specific fighter that I would compare to myself because I feel like I try to take from whoever, I admire. I try to watch a lot of footage. Like me and my down and we'll watch something, or he'll send me a video and be like, "Hey, check this out," and I try to just the good and interpret it into my style. But ultimately, I have style. I have a few different coaches that work with me, and we all work on different things because I want to be a completely full fighter. I don't want to be one dimensional. I want to be full circle. So I feel like I have my own individual style based on who I am as a person. And like my attitude, I can have attitude. So it's like I like to show that in my style. My boxing, I have attitude in my boxing because I kind of have a attitude in real life. So, I try to put a little bit of me into it. And because I'm me and there's nobody else that is me, I'm my person and I'm the only one who's like me in it, then I feel like it's just my style. It's just me.
Yeah, because I've seen you like you have at least from what I've seen, the 5 fights or the 4 fights that I've seen, you have a pro style. Like it's neat, it's tidy, it's not scrappy. There's no arm punches. You can see you throw a nice jab to the body, move well. For those that don't know, Czarina's a southpaw, so she's gonna give a lot of people headaches because southpaws tend to give people headaches. And you look ready. Like it looks like you've been doing this as a professional for longer than you actually have.
Yeah, well, I was one of those amateurs who had a pro style. In the amateurs, like I could fight in the amateurs, fast paced, but I had a pro style, and I trained with pros, so like all my teammates are pros. They were like my entire amateur career. I trained around pros. I sparred with pros. I was hardly around other amateurs. The only time I was around other amateurs is when I was at the Olympic Training Center for camps or at tournaments. That's it. Other than that, all I have done my entire time boxing is train around pros, and you have to get on their level. You have to train on their level. You have to train as hard as them. You learn their style. And then, you get in the ring with them and you learn, like, oh, they just hit me with this punch. I have never seen this punch before. So it's like, so it's like, you know, um, it helped me. It helped me because when I went to the pros, it was a better transition.
Mm, mm. Now, this past year, we're all dealing with it. COVID-19 shut everything down, affected the industry. How did you go about getting fights and being able to fight? Because a lot of people lost time. Some girls didn't get to get out there at all. Some guys didn't get to get out there at all. How did you manage that situation?
Well, it was a little bit difficult. Not with the fighting, but with the training. So all the gyms were closed, and we obviously didn't really have anywhere to train. So we would train the garage, outdoors, at parks, wherever we could. And because there was no rings and everybody was like, "Oh, COVID, everything's locked down. That means everybody gets a break." I really didn't have any sparring like that. So that was really difficult for me. But fighting was really easy because Mexico was like, "COVID? Oh, okay. Well, we're still going to have fight. We're just, we're still going to do that." So it was really good for me because I was just like, "Okay, well, to Mexico we go." And I was like fighting in the beginning, I was fighting like every 2 weeks, and then it turned to like once a month. Um, Not every month, obviously, because there have been complications, like my opponents dropped out or, couldn't make it or whatever the situation would be. But, getting fights was never hard for me. It was the training with COVID. Training was the hardest part because, lack of sparring and lack of gym usage because the gyms were closed and, it was just a little difficult. And then when the gyms did open, it's like, oh, well, you guys can't spar. The governor said there's no sparring, just working out. So that was also difficult. Um, but we worked really hard. We trained extra hard. My team is, I'm really thankful to have a team who worked with me, the entire time. So we got everything done that we needed to do, and we worked extra hard to make up for the things that we couldn't do.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, yeah, because I saw a lot. I saw at least three girls that that they did it that way. They decided, you know what, I want to have a fight. I need a fight. Kim Clavel of Canada, she went all the way down to Mexico just to get the activity to go down there, have some fights. I saw very recently I think her last two fights, Kalia Karuni. Also, she's like, hey, if they're having fights in Mexico, let's go to Mexico. And it's kind of dope that even though everything was shut down, y'all still got to do that so that the year wasn't a complete wash. Because for
Hmm.
some people, they didn't get to do nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like a lot of people were getting really restless. Like, oh, I want to fight, I want to fight, I want to fight. So a lot of people just headed down to Mexico. Uh, pretty much this whole last year, I'm going to Mexico, and usually I'm the only American fighter that's out there, or maybe there's one more. But this whole last year in Corona, like I go out there, there's more people that I know than people who actually live in Mexico who are fighting. I'm like, oh my god, I know that girl, I know that guy. Oh my god, I know them. All these Americans out here fighting, but it's because they were getting restless. They're like, dang, I've been out, I've been training, I have no fights. There's no fights in America. So they go to Mexico. And I think that's really good because fights in Mexico are fun. A little bit less fun when there's no audiences. But when there was audiences, it was fun. They get crazy in there. Like the audience, oh, they're crazy. But in a good way. Crazy in a good way.
Well, I feel like the Mexican culture is just more I guess at least right now more immersed in boxing. Like it's embedded in their culture. They live, breathe, eat, sleep boxing. They don't
Yeah.
care. Like long as two people throwing their joints, they gonna come and they gonna watch. So
Yeah,
that's
they pack it out like don't even know who the fighters are. They just come. Like it's literally like the club. They have club events and they'll go pack out the club. It's literally like that. Like, oh, there's fights and they'll go pack out the entire place. They're eating, they're drinking, they're like there's this one place in Mexico. It's called Big Punch. It's where I fought maybe two or three of my fights at. And it literally looks like a club in there just with a ring. So there's like little booths in the back, fancy booths, fancy lights. Upstairs, like the dressing room, there's like two rooms and then a middle section. When you walk out, the walkout is like on a big stand. So you're probably like 9 feet up from the ground. And then there's like little fancy tables right there on the side where you first walk out. There's a DJ, a big screen. It's just like it's nice. And
wow.
dang, y'all are really put a lot of money into this because people will literally come and spend money to bring them and their entire family to watch boxing all night. And they'll say they're all night and watch every fight and they're just into it the entire.
That's dope. Like I'm wondering why we don't see something like that here, where you have the DJ, you have the ambiance, the decorum. That it's like yo, you can sit down, eat a prime rib, watch somebody get punched in their face. Got like 4 or 5. That'd be dope. I don't know why they don't do that in the U.S.
Yeah, it was fun. It was so fun. It's fun to fight there. Like me and my dad were just talking about this in my last fight. We were like, oh dang, like when are we gonna fight a big punch again? It's been so long.
I dig it. Now, as far as women's boxing in the United States, we see all the progress that is happening abroad, over there in Europe and the United Kingdom. In the United States, it seems like, I don't know, for whatever reason, they're not as accepting or not as open-minded. What do you think of that? Like, what do you think the reason for that is?
You know what? I feel like America is like last to do everything. Like Corona, everybody else is done with Corona except for us. Like, getting farther along in women's boxing with more attention. Just everything. I feel like we do everything slower than everybody else. Like we're more progressive, but less progressive at the same time, if that makes sense. Like we're more progressive technologically, but we're less progressive when it comes to people, if that makes sense. So it's like, I feel like I not surprised, but I'm a bit disappointed because we have some really good, talented fighters from here, like very talented. I've seen a lot of fighters, they work really hard, and they just don't get the recognition that they deserve. It's not, sometimes it is their fault. Like sometimes it's because their management or whatever, but sometimes it's just people. You know, you can't make people want to watch you. You can't force people to want to watch you. If they're going to support you, they're going to support you. If they're not, they're not. Also, we need to stop getting it in our heads that if someone has an opinion that you don't like, it's because of, if it's a woman, it's because of emotion or because something happened sexually between them and that person. You know, I don't know if you saw, but there was a video of me on a live and I was talking about Devin Haney, like how he's not my favorite person. And they posted that little clip of me saying like, oh, he doesn't spar good people, like name brand people. He only beats up bums in sparring. And there were guys like literally I was on there with, his name is David Flatt, and I was on there with Richardson Hitchens, right? So Richardson
Hmm.
Hitchens literally said the same exact thing that I said. But when that part was posted where we were talking about it, all the comments were basically saying, oh, she doesn't know anything about boxing. She sounds very hateful. Oh, it sounds like he hit it and quit it. That's what's wrong with you women, just speaking out of emotions. We need to stop doing that because I'm a boxer, just like Africa's a boxer, just like Haney's a boxer. I've seen these guys. You know, I've worked next to these guys. I've trained just as hard, if not harder than these guys. You know, and I work really hard. I do. You know, so we need to stop making it out to be like what we're saying is out of emotion or based off of just being, you know, girl. You know, because when I'm in the gym, I'm not a girl. I'm an athlete. I'm a fighter. I'm a boxer. You know, and I don't expect anybody to treat me any differently than how they treat a guy. In fact, like I ask them, and if I don't ask them, my dad's like, hey, don't go easy on her, you know? So it's like I feel like we need to stop doing that and we need to start seeing each other as, you know, we're all fighters. You know, I see a guy, like I don't see a guy like, oh, you're a guy, you should be working harder than me. I go, no, this is a fighter. And you know, my teammates, when they look at me, they're like, okay, this is a fighter, she's not a girl. So I feel like once we all start seeing each other as fighters, once we step into that gym and into that ring, it'll change. You know, but until then, it's gonna be how it is. And that's really sad to me because I don't see people as like, oh, you're a guy, you're a girl, it should be different. I see like you're a fighter, you're a fighter. We're all gonna get in the ring and risk our lives for the sake of somebody else's entertainment. So we should all be like, at least watch me. Like, dang, if I'm risking my life, at least watch me. But you can't force somebody to support you. You can't
Yeah, I
force
mean,
somebody to.
it's like, and that to me, like when to the comments that were made, which is really rude. That's the internet, man. Like that's just the internet. Like the internet is good and bad. It gives people. It's all about how you use it. But some people use it for mischief, and some people use it to talk to people in a fashion that they would never talk to them in real life. And to me, that's what that sound like. Cause bro, like a lot of the stuff that I be seeing. And even if I'm on Twitter or on here on YouTube and I'll see like a comment and it'll be something wild. And I'm like, bro, like, all right, I'll just chalk it up to the internet. That's all. I ain't gonna get mad. Let's just chalk it up to the internet
Yeah,
because
like this one dude was like, "Oh, she seems like she has so much hate in her heart," and I was like, you act like you like every single person that you come across in life. I said, why is it that I'm not allowed to dislike somebody, but you are? He goes, oh, you have a point, but it's just that you know you didn't say any good things about him. I said, well, I was asked a question and I answered it truthfully, in my opinion. I said, just like you know, you don't like somebody, you're not going to speak good on them. You're just going to say how you feel and they don't like you and they're going to do the same thing. Like, I was like, it's not fair that you have that right to say that. But when I say it, I'm silly or I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I've been in the gym with them, I trained with them, spoke to them. At one point, we were cool, you know? So I'm not just talking down on somebody. I'm not ever going to talk down on somebody, talk down on somebody. But, you know, the internet is going to be what the internet is going to be. And if you say something that they don't agree with, they're going to start hopping on you first. And that's fine with me. But just let me have my opinion too, you know? Like, I'm not going to go back and forth with you about it. I said what I said. But just like you have a right, I have a right, you know?
yeah, because it's like I won't get into very many details, but I had a very similar experience very recently. I chose a lot of people were asking me to address it. I chose not to because I'm like, bro, like that's fine, dog. Anybody that knows me knows that's BS. I don't gotta play the digital whatever. Like I don't have time for that. And that some things I don't know. It's like when I see people, especially when they talk to a fighter, let alone a female fighter. When they
Mhm.
talk, it's like, bro, like you do realize that she's on the other side of the industry. She's in the business. You understand what I mean? She's speaking from a perspective that you don't have. So if she say something, what you should do, even if you don't agree with it, is listen. Just listen. That's it. You ain't gotta insult nobody. You ain't gotta say nothing. Just listen, because there's gonna be things that the people that's in the business know that individuals like myself and many others don't know. That's not the green light to start. Oh, this it's wild. Like I said, that's the internet, man. That's the bad part of the internet. That a lot of people that should not have a platform to say anything, they get to say whatever they want to whoever they want with impunity.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. And the internet can be very toxic. That's why, like, I mean, it upset me, but it didn't hurt my feelings, if that makes sense. Like, it upset me because I felt like I was like my opinions were dismissed. That's what upset me because I was like, dang, like I can have an opinion. I didn't know that. Like I thought I could just say how I felt, you know? Like with that, that's the part that I was like, okay, like I didn't know that. But it didn't hurt my feelings because I know how the internet is. You know, you see millions and millions of people get bullied every day on the internet. So it's like, I mean, the only thing that I found disrespectful was when the dude was like, "Oh, it sounds like he hit it and quit it." Like, so would you have said that if? I mean, I didn't see you say that to Africa. Like, oh, Africa sounds like he hit it and quit it, and that's why I'm saying he's not good. You know, because Africa was in that live too. I'm like, but because I said it, and I don't have the same facilities in between my legs that you do, it means that I have to be a woman scorned. I'm not a woman scorned. Never would be a woman scorned. And if I was to do something like that with somebody, I wouldn't hate on them because of what happened personally. But I'm never a woman scorned. Have was not raised like that and would never do something like that. So it's like for you to say that and you don't even know me, you're just trolling me. You're just being disrespectful at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. It's like I can go on about the things that people say on the internet, and it's like, look, man. Like I know that a lot of you guys don't walk around talking like that on a regular basis because something will happen to you at the
Mhm.
Walmart, at the Aldi, at the Pathmark, at the AMP. Something will happen to you. So I know y'all don't be walking around talking like that. That's just the byproduct of the internet. I choose to be an old man about it. Like,
Mhm.
all right, you young kids have fun because I'm not gonna argue with you for 2 hours. I don't got 2 hours to argue with you about it. So, I have fun, dog. I'll be that. In the words of Redman, whatever I'll be that. All right, whatever. Moving on from that, um, who are Czarina McCoy's top 5 pound for pound male fighters? Top 5 pound for pound female fighters. Very controversial subject, you know this.
Okay, so my top five male fighters is Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Pacquiao, and Errol Spence Jr.
Mm.
My top female fighters, Cecilia Brakes, and myself. That's it. I really don't have five. I only have two. Cecilia.
Why you going to do that? Why you going to do that? You can't think of three girls, nice things to say.
Like my favorite pound for pound. No, like girls. I mean, there are some very talented. Like I would even say Alicia Baumgartner is really good. Yeah, I would put her on the list too. I put her on the list. So three. I would even put her on the list because I like how hard she trains. I watched her interview and I just think she's really cool. Like and recently she's just been popping up on my Twitter feed a lot. Like I don't follow her, but somebody does, and she just keeps popping up on my Twitter feed. And I'm like, ooh, like okay, okay, I like her. So okay, three. I'd even put three. But everybody else, like even though they're very talented and hardworking, I either just don't like the way they are like in the sport, how they handle business in the sport, or I don't like that they don't support each other. I feel like that's why I don't have a top five list because I feel like we don't support each other enough. We should be reposting each other's pictures or like saying, "Oh, congratulations," like even on my Zarina McCoy 2 page, I posted like this because we were all fighting around the same time. It was like me and three other women fighters, and I reposted it and I even tagged them in it on my story. And maybe one or two of them put it on their story. So I tagged it was Cecilia for sure, and she put it on her story. But then there was like two other women on there who didn't, and I'm like, Like, I didn't have to support you. I don't even know you. I didn't have to support you, but I did because that's how ultimately how we're gonna get more, more viewers, more support for women's boxing is if we support each other. We need to get our each other's names out and our own names out. Like, how do you think that's gonna happen? How do you think guys do it? Guys literally, oh, my bro's about to fight. Oh, my bro's doing good. Oh, da da da. Like, my bro, my bro, my bro. Like, okay, my sis, my sis, my sis. Then like they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. It's literally like I do it, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't hurt my feelings, but I'm like, how are we gonna ever, how are we ever gonna
No,
get
I
further?
agree with you. Like I notice it. I notice it because I've been following the sport. I think usually say 4 years, but I actually think it's been about 5 now. Just talking about it, and I noticed that a lot of the girls in Europe, because I've paid a lot of attention to that scene. It's just the way you say it is. They support each other. Like, yo, homegirl fighting, da 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 da. You look at the likes for a post, and you see their names all in sequence. Like,
Mhm.
oh, so they be showing out for each
Yeah.
other. And you look in the States, and I'm starting to see it a little bit more now. I am starting to see it a little more that there's lots of nice people that they support everybody. Whenever they got something coming up, they'll post it, they'll retweet it, they'll
Mhm.
talk about it, da 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 da. So it's happening more now than before. But I just feel that from Europe to America and South America, everybody should be supporting everybody as a whole because that's what's going to be the game changer.
Yeah. Like over there they do support each other a lot more than we do here. Like on my post, like I'll post a picture when I win a fight, or on my Serena McCoy 2 page, that's all boxing. So I'm just posting all boxing stuff. It's more strangers that I don't know who don't do anything but watch boxing that support me, that are telling me congratulations or good luck, than it is other boxers. I have over 1,000 boxers following me, but you guys are not supporting me. But I support you. I repost your stuff. I say congratulations. I say I'm proud of you. Anybody that I see, I try to be supportive to you, even if we're not cool, like we're not that close. We just follow each other if we've never met. I still try to be supportive, but it's like you guys don't support back. And that's the issue, like why are you not supporting someone who's supporting you? Like I'm not gonna sit here and not support you because you're not supporting me back. Like I'm not that type. Like I'll support you still because I know how important it is to the sport. But it's like if somebody is supporting you and you all it takes is 2 seconds of your time to repost to your story, like you should do it. Takes 2 seconds. I mean, you're gonna repost some stupid meme anyways, so you might as well just repost something that's gonna help your sport.
No, I agree. I mean, I took a very, without, like I said, without saying too much, I took a very similar stance in reference to something like that. Like, hey, man, if you're gonna support. Even if they don't like you, support them.
Hmm.
Is if anything, is points with the man upstairs, or cosmic points or karma points. It's always better to be the bigger person. Like, yo, I'm gonna support you anyway. Spiritual currency. Call it spiritual currency.
Yeah.
Um, moving on from that, what is the most what fight do you want to see the most that's coming down the pipeline? Like, what's a fight that Czarina McCoy is really excited about that she wants to see?
For me,
Yeah.
honestly, I really want to see myself fight Seniesa. So
Woo!
that's who I see myself fighting. Like obviously I don't want to rush anything because I want the fight. I want the fight where I get equal amounts of opportunities that she's getting, that's when I want the fight. I want the fight when I'm gonna get what she's gonna get, and nothing less. So obviously I'm not gonna rush it, and I know that if I rush it, I'm gonna get significantly less than what she's gonna get, and I'm not going for that because I know what I deserve, and I deserve just as much, just as much. And I'm not a B-side fighter. You're not gonna put me in the B-side and go, well, this is what we're gonna give you because you're no, I'm not a B-side fighter, so we're not gonna do that. But what
Now
I
look, I gotta ask you because I've followed you both. Big fan of you both. I am. So I've never known what the rift was. Like, is that if you're comfortable speaking on it, just what the nature of the rivalry is? Because I've never known. Like, I know why Ava Knight and Marlon Esparza have a rift. I know what led to different things that have happened. I've never known what's the rift between you and her.
Well, the thing is I never had beef with her, but when it was Corona, I was doing a lot of interviews. And when they asked like, "Okay, do you think you could beat this fighter? Do you think you could beat this fighter?" Yes, of course. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't think I could beat somebody that I know I could beat. her name came up. We're in the same weight class. Her name is gonna come up. Obviously, I'm gonna say I I can beat you up. I will beat you up eventually in the future. But for you to take that and get so butthurt about it, when in actuality, I'm calling out everybody in my division, everybody. But because your name came up multiple times and I said yes, I would beat you up multiple times, you get really really emotional. So she tried to like Instagram beef with me about it. Tried to go back and forth, call me on my name, disrespect me. And it's like nobody is targeting you specifically. I'm sure she's probably a good person. I'm sure she's probably a nice girl to other people. But what you're not going to do is turn the stuff like this business and the sport into personal stuff. Me, I don't take it personally. If somebody says they could beat me up and we're in the same weight class, I'm not going to take that personally because it's business. It is what it is. This is boxing. This is a sport. You're going to have to beat somebody up, and for somebody to be interested in you, you need to be able to say, hey, I could beat these people up. So if somebody that I don't know, even somebody that I do know says, yeah, I could beat her up, we're in the same weight class, I'm not going to take that personally. That's business. But you turned business into something personal, something real life. And I'm not going to take disrespect because what you're not going to do is get on the internet and disrespect me and think that I'm not going to take it personally in and out of the ring because you're
Not
not.
now. I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah. So she decided to take business and turn it personal and talk down on me on the internet. And I told her, I'm not finna go back and forth with you. I said, because this is business. So you can meet me in the ring and everything that you had to say on this Instagram post, we can handle that inside the ring. Because I'm not scared of you. And I could beat you right now, today, tomorrow, even, so it's like, and honestly, I was supposed to, like, I did offer to fight her in quarantine. And then she just said she would get back to me and never did. So, if anything, I feel like I'm not the one who's scared. She is. Because you could have put me in quarantine, and you just didn't get back to me. Instead, you taking mothers who don't even know how to fight, knocking out women who shouldn't have been in the ring in the first place, who can't even get in the stands. But I'm the one who's supposed to be scared of you. Nah, you're not gonna disrespect me and then think that no, because you just turned a person for me. But I'm not gonna get in there all angry and stuff. No, you just turned it personal for me because now I gotta beat you up twice as bad for disrespecting me on the internet.
Yeah, because I never knew. I never knew. Like it seemed like it had came out of nowhere that you guys were just operating independently. You're going through your career. She's going through hers. Like I don't remember this beef in 2019. In other words, like
yeah, it did come out of nowhere. I'm just like I could beat anybody up. I could beat Sum up. I could beat Seniesa up. And she's like, oh, every time you always have to mention me. You're in my weight class. What do you want me to do? Like not mention you? Like go down to 100 pounds, go down to 95, and then I won't mention you because you're gonna be way out of my weight class range. But as long as you're in 112, 108, I'm gonna mention you. I don't have a choice. It's business. That's how business is. You could beat anybody in your weight class, and you say it. This is how it is. Like for you to take that personally, that means that you don't do good business. If you understand how the sport goes, and that's a problem. That is a big problem within women's boxing because women feel like if I fight you, that means we can't be cool. And that's not, and I've been through that multiple times in the amateurs as well. I was cool with a lot of girls. And then as soon as I found out that we had to fight each other, they stopped being cool with me. Like it's not personal, it's business, And on the other hand, I fought one of my closest friends and we're still this close, even after that. It's just business. This sport is not going to last forever. One of these days, we're going to have to retire. And then what? You want to have pointless beef with somebody over a sport that you're not going to be in for the rest of your life? Like, no, it's dumb. Like, we need to separate business from real life. Like, business is not the same as personal life. It's not. It's like, if I have beef with you personally, that's one thing. But if I'm just saying I could beat you up in the sport, that's business. It's not like I'm saying, oh, I'll take her outside and drag her. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when we get in the ring, I know that I'm gonna come out with the victory. That's just business. And you just need to learn, like, a lot of women need to learn to decipher between, like, learn the difference. There's a difference between business and personal. You don't gotta turn business into personal things. That's why every business movie, every business show, all the, it's nothing personal. It's just business. Like, get that in your head, because you guys are taking it too personally, and then y'all are causing real beef, and that's just like, that's dumb.
On the flip side of it, even though I like this joys me and it pains me. I hate seeing two of my favorite fighters fight. Like when I heard Jessica was gonna fight Cecilia,
Hmm.
I got that tore me up inside. When I heard very recently they announced that Katie Taylor's gonna fight Natasha Jonas, that tore me up. Like, oh God, why y'all gotta fight each other? Why y'all can't just fight somebody else? So with you and her, it's that kind of situation. But the plus of it is that at least because you're both young, in the future, this could be something that y'all both do very good business with. Because I feel what's missing for a lot of the girls is because the promotional outfits aren't doing as much as they can. I would say, as a consumer, I can say that I'm on the other side of this. It's my dollar you're trying to get. Unless I go out here and research these fighters and talk to them and talk about their stories, the promoters ain't doing it.
Yeah.
So the good thing about all of this is at least now Czarina has a face. People know her. They've been seeing her around. They've been hearing her about her. And hopefully one day that'll help build up the fight between you and her.
Yeah, and then, like, another thing is, I know that a lot of people support me. I know that a lot of people support her. A lot of the same people, like, we have a lot of mutual supporters, and that's fine with me, because this is business, you know. But I feel like if you're a person who's a mutual supporter, you shouldn't be stuck in a situation where you have to choose. You could support both of us. You could say, "Hey, go Zarina one round and go Seniesa the next round." Like, that's fine. I'm not ever gonna make you choose between me and another fighter, because at the end of the day, if you're supporting both of us, that means you're helping further the sport in general. You know, and this sport is going to be here long after I'm not. You know, people are still going to be boxing even when I'm 90 and dead or something, you know? So it's like that's fine with me. But don't make it to where it's like, oh, if you support her, then you can't support me. We're not cool. Like, no, we cool. We cool. But if I see you say I'm going to support both of you, and then all I see is Seniesa, 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 then at that point I'm going to be like, oh, okay, so you're not really rocking with me out. You know? Okay.
My son wants to say hi to you. Hi, say hi, Joe. Come on, get in the frame and say hi. Okay, give me a second. Give me 1 second. Oh, yeah, COVID times remote. 1 second. Sophie, come get Joe. Thank you. Appreciate it. You're the best. Give him some chips, man. COVID times remote interviews.
Yeah.
It's wild out here, dog. It's wild out here.
It's fine.
Oh geez, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so yeah, you one day hopefully it will turn into a super fight, which the sport needs, because it's those fights that push the sport forward and broaden everyone's horizon. That you know what, you get two skilled girls in there, and you're gonna get a good fight. Girls, guys, as long as the talent is there, which I know that it is, it's gonna be a good fight. And that's the silver lining. That if there's any good to be derived from that, boxing does thrive off rivalries that are sometimes personal. Sometimes.
Yeah, and out before she made things personal, I was more gunning for the fight, because right now people do consider her the best in this weight class. One of the best in this weight class. So obviously I don't want to be the best, I have to fight the best, you know? For one, and then for two, I know that it would be a really good fight. And I think that that's what we need. We need really good fights. More fights that are equal, or on a more equal level than just us fighting somebody who doesn't know how to box, you know, knocking somebody out in 2 seconds who doesn't know how to box like that. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that. People want to see real boxing between two skilled fighters, you know? So I feel like before things got personal, that's why I was gunning for the fight. But then she made things personal, and now I just want to beat her up because she had the nerve to disrespect me on the internet. But also, it'll be a good fight. So, you know, business and personal. I know how to separate my business from my personal life. Um, I learned that. I mean, I was raised by my dad, so he's a very, very good businessman. He taught me how to not, you know, don't take business personal. It's just business. You know, if you take it personally, you're gonna live your whole life upset. So, you know, just learn how to separate it. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's not personal for me. I'm not mad at her. You know, I'm sure she is a very nice girl. I don't know her. You know, I don't know her personally. I'm sure she is a very nice girl to other people, who she doesn't have beef with. I'm sure she's a great girl, but because she disrespected me, then me personally, that just makes me want to pursue the fight even more.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is, maybe this is just the beauty of boxing, right? That everybody's the villain in somebody's story. Like in your story, in her story, you're the villain. In your story, she's the villain. The fans, they get to choose.
Yeah.
That's like the cool part. They get to gravitate towards whoever they gravitate towards for whatever reason they do. And that is, I feel like that's the avenue of opportunity for women in sports, so that people can see the stories are just as compelling, the fights are just as good. It runs as deep as it does with it, just as anything else. So for me, I think that's the silver lining. A part of me don't want y'all to fight. I'll be honest, because I've been a fan of both of y'all for a minute. So it's like, oh, god damn, why they gotta fight? It's all these girls. Why they can't fight them? Why they gotta fight each other? But it's the nature of the beast. If and when it happens, I'm gonna be biting my goddamn nails, but I'm gonna watch, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's just a sport. That's just how the sport is. You know, we're gonna fight people that we we know we're gonna beat, or we know we might be able to beat, or we're gonna go in there. We're gonna have the toughest fight of our entire life. So it's like, you just gotta be prepared for that, to fight anybody, to fight anytime. That's just the sport. It's just sport. You're gonna fight somebody who people like a lot more than you, and you're gonna fight somebody that people like a lot less than you. That's just how it is.
Mm. Now we had a altercation, not an altercation, a disagreement about McCaskill versus Breakus.
Mm-hmm.
And you scored it. You said that you had scored it for Cecilia. I had scored it for Jessica. I felt that she outworked her in both fights. Bear in mind, I love them both, but I felt Jessica won both those fights. What was it about that first fight that convinced you that Cecilia had done enough to get the nod? What were the characteristics of that fight that made you feel, nah, Cecilia should have got to keep the belts?
In fight, I feel like Cecilia was just more, she was more calculated. She was more accurate with her punches. She was just an overall better boxer in that fight. McCaskill, if anything, she won just off of bullying. A lot of the judges, what I found, and this is the amateurs and the pros, is that they're more likely to give a fight to somebody if it looks like they're bullying the other person, even if they're not landing as many punches or throwing as many accurate punches or don't look as good. If they look like they're bullying you, the judges are more likely to give it to them, especially once they stopped counting punches as a way to like win fights, and just more off of who looks the best. They like, oh, if they're more aggressive, then they look the best. But that's not always the case, because I've seen a lot of really good, talented boxers get robbed of wins like that. Like McCaskill, she's good. I'm not taking anything away from her. I give her credit. She's a good boxer. But in that specific fight, I feel like Cecilia was the better boxer. She was more calculated, more accurate. She looked better as a boxer. And McCaskill just bullied her way, just like ran in, wild punches, made it look a lot uglier than it had to be. And I feel like that's not how you should win a fight. Like, that's not what should give you the win. The win should be who's the better boxer, not who's the better bully. You
Mm.
know, we're
What did
not
you
dog
think about the
boxers.
second fight, though? Do you think that it was more decisive in the second fight than it was in the first? Did you at least agree a little more with the decision for the rematch than the first fight?
I feel like, well, first of all, I feel like it was more of the same. I feel like she just bullied her way in there, more of the same, but it was like more aggressive this time. So I guess I could see why they gave it to her the second time again, but she was really like aggressive and really wild and just bullying, like Sean Porter versus Errol Spence, like that fight where he was just kind
Mm.
of in and trying to bully. That's what I saw in the second fight as well, but it was more of that. Like in the first fight, it was like she tried to box a little bit and then just decided like, okay, I'm losing, so I'm just gonna bully her. In the second fight, she goes, I'm just gonna bully her the whole time because that's what worked first time, and I want to win. And I mean, like, I congratulate her on her win. Obviously, a win is a win, but should you use that you know, that option, that path to winning, like, because bullying is not always going to get you a win, you know? Bullying is not always going to get you that way because you're going to find somebody who can bully you right back and box you. And you're going to be in deep waters that you're not going to know how to swim in. So it's like, you know, it's just a styles thing to me.
No. I get your point. I kind of felt like, at least in the buildup of the fight, I felt like that's what she will resort to because that's the best chance at victory. Because Cecilia's been at it for so long, she's a very polished boxer, but she is aging. So the way you can get an older fighter to look their age, don't box them, bully them, push them around, tie them up, lean on them so that they'll get tired. And in that way, when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, she's doing the right thing because that's what you got to do to a fighter who's a good fighter, but is
Yeah.
a fighter that's getting older.
Yeah. But even those things are even very precise, you know, locking somebody up, you know, using your shoulder to move them. Those are very calculated movements, you know, and there's a difference between being calculated with your movements and just running in there and throwing haymakers because you think that's the only thing that's going to save you in that moment. You know, those are two very different things. You know, bullying somebody uh is not, you know, bullying somebody is more making it look uglier than it should be, you know, grabbing them, grappling them. We're not doing MMA, we are not in the octagon, okay sis, we should not be about to fall on the ground. But being calculated is, you know, grabbing them, turning them, moving them with your shoulder, you know, blocking, flipping, whatever the case may be, that's calculated. And bullying is making it seem like we're about to do the pretzel roll over the ring. You know, like I don't really know what that, but I've been in a lot of situations like that. I've been in a lot. I've gotten flipped, rolled, thrown, you know, all kinds of things. So like that stuff, just because when you're a good fighter and you're skilled, they don't know how to get in there. You know, they don't know how to accurately and precisely calculated get in there. You know, it's hard and it's difficult and it's frustrating. So they're like, you know what, I'm just gonna throw a whole bunch of punches and I'm gonna run in there and hope something lands. You know, and sometimes it does. Sometimes it does land. You know, a lot of the times it does land, but it's not smart. If that
I'll
makes
say that I think that because I've seen you in action, so I know that you're a very technically sound fighter. Use your jab very well. And I think that for you, it seems like for you, that's your personality coming through in your style. Because now that you've put it in words, they're like, well, all of this is just some wild stuff. It's funny how that translates into your style. Because if you guys haven't seen Czarina in action, she's a technician. She's a pure boxer, southpaw. The work is never like scrappy. There are no arm punches. Everything is real sharp, sharp, sharp. The movements, the footwork, everything is very sharp. So it's funny to hear you say all of that, right?
sense.
Because that's how you fight. That's literally how you fight.
Yeah, and I always run into the girls who like to grapple, bar, like wrestle on the ground. I'm like, okay, like relax, you know, relax. This is, you know, this is not what we're doing. If I can smell your breath, you are too close to me. Okay, like I literally should not be trying to. I should not be smelling Cantu in your hair. Okay, relax.
Oh,
Back up. Back up.
chill, dog. All right, we just all right. Well look. I think we've covered the main stuff. What fight involving two other fighters are you looking forward to the most? Is there any particular fight that you're really excited about that's supposed to be happening in the near future?
Yeah, so what is it? Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather? No, I'm just playing. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm just playing. I don't support that at all.
So can I ask? Can I get your opinion on that? Can I get you as a professional boxer? Does it does it bother you to see these YouTube people? You know, does it bother you?
It oh my god, it irks. Did you hear that they're doing like a whole YouTube versus TikTok fight
Yeah.
like bout thing? And I'm like you're taking good money away from real boxers. Like this is literally our main source of income, our careers, and you're literally taking that away from us to watch TikTokers and YouTubers. Like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Y'all can't even fight, okay? Y'all are over here doing doing freaking TikTok dances like this, and y'all want to go in the ring and fight somebody. You're taking money and attention away from us. Like, come on, grow up. Like, I feel like that's so dumb. I feel like Floyd just doesn't want to leave the sport. Like, he doesn't want people to forget him. So he's like, I'm just gonna go in here and do an exhibition match.
See, you know what the thing is with Floyd, honestly, I'm gonna put it like this: like, he did a lot, right? That a lot of people don't appreciate to this day. You see what I mean? There's a lot that I seen his whole career when he fought Gennaro, all of that. So I see how people talk about him many years later. They don't understand. Like, yo, dude fought people. And because they don't appreciate him or whatever, it's like, well, look, if I can't do nothing else, I'm gonna get money. So if y'all willing to pay me, or if I could get all this money off of beating this guy, and I'm a retiree, bear in mind, I'm a retiree. I'm not a professional boxer no more. But if y'all willing to pay cash money to see me pound out this YouTuber, why not? You know what I mean? It's other things going on, though, that not even exclusive to Floyd. Like, there's a card that's supposed to be going down in Miami. Zab is supposed to be promoting it, Zab Judah. I seen they got Young B on the card. I seen they got Wow. I'm like, what's going on, dog? Like, what's happening? Like, I don't knock it, because my view of it is, you know what? If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Don't watch it if you don't like it. Watch it if you do like it. Do what you feel like doing. But I wanted to get your perspective because it relates to you personally. They're like, yo, I'm a fighter, and this is how I feel. So it bothers you.
So dumb. Like, you're taking a lot of attention away from the real sport. You know, you're just kind of, it's just like they're kind of turning this sport into a cash cow more than, you know, actually appreciating the sweet science of boxing. You know, like, you guys are ridiculous. You know, y'all go train for 2 months and then get in there and look like lit like 5-year-olds, throwing punches in there just all over the place, don't know what you're doing, you know, looking dumb. And they're like, oh, what's his name? Logan Paul is like, oh, I've knocked people out. Like, okay, you're a big white boy who throws haymakers. Obviously, you go knock somebody out who don't know how to fight. Like, one lucky punch and you can knock somebody out. But like, if you're in there with a skilled person who's just as big as you, like, you're not gonna beat them. And you're just taking away money. You're taking away viewership, you know, of real boxers who train every single day, 365 days a year for this sport. But it's like, okay, if y'all are making all that money, then you could put me in there with Catherine McBroom or somebody. I'll box her up. I will box her up, okay? Please.
Oh,
I know.
yo, look, man.
That card. Her husband is about to be on that card. That YouTubers versus TikTokers. Like, okay, give her 2 months. I'll box her up in there real quick. Give me a few $1 million. Since that's the case, give us real boxers opportunity to make just as much money as these YouTubers.
But that's the beauty part of it. That is the beauty part of it. That, like, on Triller, they got Regis Prograde. They got Regis Prograde fighting Ivan Redkach, so they are kind of affording opportunities, because he's going to fight on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. So I see that they're kind of doing it. It's just that from where I was sitting, it seemed like, you know what? I'm a boxing fan. I'm not interested in Jake Paul, so he not going to get my bread. You see what I mean? If he gets somebody's bread, it got to be somebody that was already following him, because I was never following him. And he not going to get my bread. Well, he might, because I want Ben to beat him. Because if Ben beats him, that'll send a message to them cats. They're like, yo, dog, you fighting a real fighter. He might be a wrestler, but you fighting a real fighter now. All right? If he beat Jake.
That's where the views is coming from. That's where the views is coming from. The real boxing fans and real boxers just want to see them get beat up or look stupid in there. So they're going to spend their money to watch it. But like, if you're taking my supporters, my viewers, my supporters' money that should be spent on one of my fights one day, well, so you put me in there, Catherine McBroom, Malu, whoever, I'll fight all of them right now for a few $1 million, all of them. Anyway, at this point, I'll fight one of the dudes, Austin McBroom. Let's go, glove up, let's go.
Look, I dig it. Well, look, Czarina, it's been a pleasure. I'm gonna wrap it up right here. I hope that you could come back some other time and we could talk about one of your fights and one of your opponents and talk about a variety of other subjects. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Well, have a safe day and stay COVID free, because that's the way to be.
As it should. Have a good day.